Yes, here we go. P.M.P. It's been a while since we've done this. Terry, 19 days since our last game. 5-star Celtic. Was it 5-star? I don't know. I thought I was quite impressed. 5-0 win, though, nonetheless, over Buckie Thistle. That's me trying to keep count because I think we had the ball in the net, but double that amount of times. It was a bizarre afternoon for offside disallowed goals. VAR was active from minute one as well, taking its time to make certain decisions that seemed quite obvious for the replays. But anyway, we're not moan. I was happy with the result today. I was very happy with the performance. We're going to get stuck into it all. We'll do all that good stuff first because there are so many of you on the bus already. Over 70 of you in the first minute jumped on the bus, nearly 80 now already. Thank you very much. Remember, and make sure whilst you are there, hit that like button. Even a thumbs down if you want. I'm cool either. It helps that algorithm. Ask Phil McGinley all about that. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like so many of you have, such as Stephen Murdoch, like Darryl, like Smell the Glove, Jim C, Jim Dolan, Alex Forsyth, loads he is. Even the Bhoycie Bus has got membership. Scott Cameron, he's a member as well. Brilliant. Danish, Merrill Wyatt, they're everywhere. Charles Smith, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. $1.99 a month. Content's always free. Helps keep the wheels on the road and keep us active on the channel as much as we possibly can in our spare time. Remember, this is not our full-time job. It's just a wee hobby that we enjoy doing. And remember, you still get the benefits of that discount at piesports.com. A tasty treat or a tasty discount, 12.5% off at the checkout if you use the code BUS1888. Terry, 5-0 today. Take it away, big man.
Well, Bhoycie, but first of all, I'm just looking at the size of my chops here. I'm gonna have to ease off on the old Pie Sports orders. Look at the size of them. Oh my god. Yeah, today, obviously, first thing, great to have Celtic back again. I hate these breaks. I hate the summer when there's no football, and I hate the winter shutdown when there's no football. It just gets, I don't know, it just gets you through the week knowing you're going to get to see your team at the weekend, and win, lose or draw, we do it every week. 5 wins in a row, which is our most consistent spell this season. Today we were on an absolute hiding to nothing. It didn't matter what we did today. It was such a mismatch in terms of the opposition. However, I thought we played as well as you could ask for, and it was actually an enjoyable game, even though there was that golfing class. And I think what impressed me the most, what made me happiest, was that nothing was left to chance today. We went out there, other than the captain, who got an extra little bit of time off because he's played 500 matches in 3 years, and Carter Vickers, who were nursing back from reoccurring injuries. That was full tilt. That was full strength today. So that was the right message. That was it from the get-go. We're giving this team the same respect we would give any opponent. The tempo was right from the start. We didn't let up at any stage. We really didn't. The game was played at a pace where Buckie Thistle they were never going to be able to live with us. We scored 5 goals that were allowed. I think we scored another 10 that were disallowed. So in terms of goalmouth action, it was good. It was an enjoyable performance. Yeah, we can't get too overexcited, but I think off the back of the 4 previous wins, I suppose it was a good game to come back to and just pick up that thread. I was a wee bit worried that we'd come into a little bit of form just before the football shut down for 3 weeks, but we're back in the groove again today. I was happy with that. I thought it was an enjoyable performance. Fair play to Buckie Thistle as well. They had a few moments, they had a few opportunities where they made us look a little bit uncomfortable at the back. Just hope all the supporters at the game from both sides get home safe, because the train's getting cancelled. You probably noticed once that announcement went up that the trains were getting cancelled, that the stadium just emptied out, because a lot of people are going to have an awkward journey home, I would say. So hopefully everyone gets home safe. But no, happy with that. Look forward to touching on some of the VAR moments, because some of them were absolutely baffling. And there's one in particular, that first one. I suppose we can start on it because it started right at the very start of the game. It was in the 2nd minute, and we had a 3-minute break after 2 minutes of play for what was a very, very straightforward offside decision. And I'm just wondering, is this a knock-on effect from the incident in the Celtic Rangers game, because it was a similar scenario where there was a foul that would have been a penalty, but there was an offside in the build-up. And why did we even need that 3 minutes? It was completely obvious that it was offside. But they brought the referee over. They brought the referee over to look at the foul, but it was always going to be ruled out for offside.
Yeah, I think they were trying to work out.
Was there a touch from a
There was a touch in between the pass, so they were trying to work out if it came solely off their defender, in which case he would then not matter. I think that's what they're trying to get. I understand.
Fair play to the referee, though. Fair play to the referee. That's only the second time I've seen the ref go over the screen and.
Well, yes. Yeah. I mean, definitely, mate. I would rather they got it right. I mean, you're listening to the commentary, Michael Stewart foaming at the mouth because he's predicted something right for the get-go on that. I mean, well done, Michael. You don't get that much right off the cuff. And I think he hadn't even noticed there'd been a touch in between, to be honest with you. And then he was trying to downplay it once he realised it might be the defender. But he kept moaning about, how long is this taking? How long is it taking? I'm like, well, you either get it right or you don't. Now, when they got it right last time, they only actually informed us about the offside in the second half of that Celtic Rangers game. How did that go down compared to 3 minutes at the time? And with it being that early in the game and it's still obviously evenly poised because you're in the first minute of the match, I think they want to make sure they get that sort of thing right, but don't want to set a tone where they're missing or making glaring errors either, Terry, right at the top of the game. So maybe a bit of trepidation there and just wanting to get it right. And if anything, they will have learned from that Rangers one that they should have been quicker to identify there was a potential offside. I think they have been slow in reacting to that, and that's why they've informed so much later on during that game of the fact that everything was kind of irrelevant because it would have been flagged for offside. But if they'd spied that for the get-go, the free kick would have been given to Celtic and we'd have moved on. So I think they're trying to... I think it will have had a ripple effect. I don't think it's influenced what decision they come to, but I think it'll be fresh in the memory that they want to get it right. And those factors such as potential offside rather than just looking at the incident itself, I don't mind that. If they're learning from, not mistakes, but they're learning from things that have took too long or maybe there's been an oversight here or there on, then it's better than nothing. Do I think there's a lot of folks saying VAR's killing the game? I do agree with that as well. But we've got it now. And see, to be totally honest with you, we're fickle bastards. Because if VAR's not there, which it wasn't when I started this channel, Terry, I remember speaking to you about it on this when in the very early days. I go, you get VAR in, that solves that. Do you know what I mean? So, look, it is one of those things. Overall, though, I like what you're saying about the application, the attitude of the players. It was all there today. Brendan, after the game, speaks about he's like, right. He said, I think he went to say, and then he goes, the attitude is what I expect. And I think he was going to say, I was like, the attitude I was impressed by. And then he kind of just stopped himself saying impressed as the levels I expect. That's good to me. That's a good message. And I thought it was a performance that reflected respect for the competition, respect for the opposition, and respect for the amount of supporters that had turned up, paid their money in those sort of conditions, as you rightfully touched on as well, Terry. And also, from a professional level, they've got to be at it every single fucking week between now and the end of the season if they want to get the trophies at the end of it that we so badly need and want. That's a refreshing sign for me. Yes, as Brendan says, it should be the expectation that every game's treated with that level of intensity, attitude, application, as I say. But sometimes it doesn't happen, particularly after a break, knowing you're playing non-league. Today it did, and we need to see that carry on the rest of the campaign.
Were you surprised he went so strong?
No, I thought it would be strong. I don't see any point after 19 days then lubing us up for the season. I think it's right. It was right to get straight back into the fire with the guys we're going to be counting on and taking it for there. I thought that was a clever move. He did say before the game he gave Callum McGregor extra time off. So it's not like he's kind of, he'd actually had extra time off. So he got a wee bit of an extension on the break. So he'd only came back and joined the group, I think, a couple of days later is what he was alluding to.
Yeah.
That made sense to me. And for the amount of games he plays, he was a willing rest to give, if you know what I mean. Thiago Hong took his place, loves a sideways pass, got a goal, fair play to him. But I thought overall I expect us to go strong today, and that sets the tone for the rest of the season, as I say.
I think I might be wrong on this. There might have been bounce games or something, but I don't remember Celtic playing any games during that period. I know other teams went and organised friendlies and things like that, but I think it was the right thing to do today. You've had that break. The players have had a bit of downtime. They've come back. They've picked up the training again, and today was the first competitive game. But we've gone in there full strength. And I also have that saying in my head about the jerseys not shrinking and stuff like that. And I think that it's a good message to send out. I don't care who we're playing. I'm putting out the best possible team that I can put out in the circumstances without risking any players. And there was an opportunity to give some game time to a couple of the younger lads, which I think's it's always a good thing. But he could have been tempted. He could have been tempted, Bhoycie, to bring in 3 or 4 young lads and put them on from the start. But I think the right decision was the one that he made.
Terry, he's made more decisions in between from one SPFL game to another, and I think it's cost us at times this year. So I wonder if that's maybe a learning curve as well.
Yeah, absolutely nothing taking the chance. And I mean, if we'd lost that game today or didn't win that game today, that probably would have been the biggest shock in our history. But he wasn't letting that happen today. There was no stone unturned. We were prepared and we were ready to go. And yeah, it's not a game where we can spend too much time lavishing praise on the players, but they did absolutely everything that was expected of them and turned in an enjoyable performance.
Well, it was an enjoyable performance as well. I totally agree with that. Obviously, we didn't get to see Nicholas Kuhn today, but we've seen the return of Lee Abada at the start. Abada at times for me looks like a player when he's got time to think, a man to beat, and a few options in front of him, not always sure what to do. And then when he's an impulsive player who only has a split second to make his mind up, or maybe he's not made up his mind, he's just acting on, as I say, impulse. I think he's better like that. He's better playing on the edge like that. And at times we've seen the best and the other side of it from him today. But it's brilliant having him back for the second half of the season, Terry, because what he does bring is he's a numbers player as well. I know we spoke about that with Palmer from what he'd got last season at Aris. Then I think we said after his first sort of 8-9 games, we were looking at it going, he'll be double figures for both goals and assists. Abada's a player when he gets, if he's fit the whole season, you can comfortably, after his first 2 years at Celtic, now say he's someone that you look to be getting double figures, goals and assists. That's what you want for your wingers. And I do think he will be a key contributor in the second half of the season if he remains at the club.
Yeah, I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, Bhoycie, but I'm a massive fan of Abada's, and I've not made any secret about that. And what I liked about today was just having Abada. I think, again, some people don't think he's natural in that position. I think he is, in terms of he goes from out to in, so he positions himself on the touchline, but he makes that diagonal run in, and we were able to see that move today that we've seen loads of times last year, where the ball gets passed inside the fullback for Abada to cut in from the touchline, cross it into Kyogo. So Kyogo's goal came from that. It came from a pass from O'Reilly inside the fullback. Abada, as soon as O'Reilly gets that ball, he knows if he plays that pass that Abada's going to get it, because that's something that they've done for the last 2 seasons. So he gets the ball, plays it perfectly. Abada cuts in. Abada knows if he plays it into the middle, Kyogo's going to score. And we got that goal once, but that same move almost led to 2 other goals as well. And also not just the passes from O'Reilly, but you then seen Alistair Johnson was also playing the pass inside the fullback. He played one because he knew that Abada was going to get onto it as well. So I think him coming back in, it's just I think it'll play into, again, as you say, if he's here, I think we'll see an improvement in chances being created for Kyogo because of Abada's awareness when he's playing in that position and firing the ball across early. As you say, he's probably at his most effective when he's just running onto a through ball and crossing it into the middle or having a shot. And if he's here, and I hope that he is, I think we'll see Kyogo's numbers increase because of Ibarra.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point as well. Definitely, I think the only way for Kyogo's numbers is up as well. Let's be honest, considering the sort of goal drought, if you like, I think that's his third goal in 12, something like that. So yeah, I think his numbers will undeniably improve in the second half of the season at Abada, and hopefully Nicholas Kuhn will be contributing factors to that. Terry, absolutely. Yes, let's talk about the goal scorers, because it was a spread out number of goal scorers. That we've got 5 different goal scorers. Bernardo with the first one. Now, this is a guy we've went from not really knowing what it is he is going to be. What's his definition as a midfielder? Is he a sitting midfielder? Is he a 6? Is he some guy who'd like to play, sort of off Kyogo? Now he seems more defined in his role, and I think that takes a run of games for us to start to see what the makeup of this player is. But what we're also seeing is, fucking hell, when he's got a bit of confidence about him, Terry, he's became a bit of a different animal. Now, it's quite tricky for him because he was getting called up just to play Champions League level. Now, as we've talked about on this bus many a time, Celtic don't really just bring in Champions League level players. So without any disrespect to Bernardo, it'd be fair to say when we've had the opportunity to get him on loan with an option to buy, he's not quite Champions League ready player. Yet that was the stage that was set for him, with really very intermittent appearances domestically. Now he's strung intermittently. Do you like that one, Pam? And she always picks me up from when I try to use a longer word that's than 5 letters. But when you see this guy now with a run of games under him, with confidence, he's got a goal-scoring touch about him, and he's ice cold in situations like that, with the technique to back it up. That clip over the keeper, before anyone gets carried away, where you're waxing lyrical about scoring a chip against Buckie Thistle. That was the opposition today. You can only play what's in front of you. The chip was a deft touch. Again, a beautiful pass from Matt O'Reilly. How people doubted him last season. I was trying to wake the world up to the fact he should be ahead of Aaron Moy. I stand by it. I was right. Anyway, he's took his game to another level this year as well. But honestly, that chip for Bernardo, that's a guy who's in confidence right now, playing with swagger. Brilliant to see.
But so you said there that his role's a bit more defined. I have to say I'm still confused. Now, I was confused initially as to what he brought to the team. Now I'm not confused. He brings quality to the team. That's clear. But what I'm confused about is that when the manager was talking about why he was playing in the Champions League games, he was talking about his defensive qualities. But what we've seen in these last 3 or 4 games is his attacking qualities and his ability and his confidence in front of goal. So the bit I'm still confused about is he a 6, 8, or a 10? And I think we just don't overcomplicate it. He's just a very good footballer, and he's an all-round midfielder, and that's how I see him now. And I genuinely didn't see this coming, where this guy was becoming such a goal threat. And again, this is one where we're now thinking, is this a deal that we can do? And I think there was quotes tribute to the manager where he said the fee's more than manageable. I would be very surprised if this level of form keeps up that Celtic don't trigger that. I suppose the only part then that is the unknown is whether the lad himself would want to stay and come to Celtic, because just because the 2 clubs agree a fee and because we trigger it, he might not want to go, or he might get reassurances that he's in the plans back at his parent club. So that's going to be one to see how that plays out. Again, not trying to think too far down the line, but is there a scenario where O'Reilly moves on in the summer and Bernardo's his replacement? There's also one that I don't want to think about, where O'Reilly moves on and Bernardo doesn't want to come to Celtic and we start next season without those 2 players. But we're not there yet. Let's get through this window. Let's make sure Matt O'Reilly's still here. But this guy Bernardo, he's really, really starting to impress me. And I actually thought he would end up being a 6. I thought he just looked like a neat and tidy player. But he's got so much more going for him, and he just looks a live goal threat now. Every time he gets the ball, you're thinking something could happen. And again, the finish the finish, it's Buckie Thistle. We know that, but there was a lot of confidence in that finish, and that's confidence coming from the way he's playing and the fact that he's now on the goal trail. And looking forward to seeing more of this game. I'm also looking forward to seeing what happens when Hatate comes back, because that's a conundrum for the manager to resolve as well. But a good one for Celtic.
Well, it is a good conundrum for Celtic, definitely. You want that competition to be as fierce as possible for each position. So even when Hatate does come back to the fold, you don't want it to be a case where players just walk into the team. You want it to be real competition there. And I think the form Bernardo in that provides real competition. Maybe one of our bugbears has been the fact that we've not had enough of that from a lot of the new arrivals. They're not providing real competition. The next goal scorer is Thiago Holm, who, for whatever reason, hasn't been a realistic option to start ahead of a Calmac, a Matt O'Reilly. I appreciate their standard is extremely high, but it was Bernardo favourite, a guy on loan preferred to Holm to be the guy who comes in when Hatate's not there, for example. He did okay today. I mean, I do think he's very safe, and I think that comes with a wee bit of nerves. It comes with being in and out the team, I think.
Is that not the same as Bernardo, though, Bhoycie? Bernardo's first appearances, it was kind of like win the ball.
I'm getting there.
Backwards, yeah.
You've just nailed it, because he's not getting that regular run. Yeah. He's not getting the regular run. But you've got to earn that regular run as well. And that means that attitude and application we're talking about that we've seen today against Buckie Thistle has to be replicated in training day in, day out as well. And that's where standards really start to improve. It was good for him to get the start. I didn't see anything from him. I know he got his goal that makes me think, though, this guy's going to be entering the first. I mean, I think some of the hyperbole.
You're on it the day.
2 weeks off the drink, mate. I'm just pulling out all the words, man. But some of the hyperbole about him before he joined was a wee bit much. And I think it's great getting excited when we sign a player, but fucking hell, just rein it in a wee bit and let's see what they can do.
Would you loan him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, fuck aye. He's not going to make an impact that defines whether we win this league title or not.
Yeah, I would consider loaning him. I definitely would. And we're touching on those 2 goals. I actually think we did score before those 2 goals. I don't know what was wrong with Taylor's goal.
Taylor's goal? Fucking hell, I forgot about Taylor getting one.
Do you remember that?
Fuck aye.
That looked yards onside, and then
I know.
you get this red and blue line coming up after about a minute, and you're just going, I don't care what that line says. I seen that, and that was not offside. That was a strange one, and that was an excellent goal as well. If you remember, it was the same pass we talked about inside the fullback, except it was on the opposite side. Then we had a dummy, and Taylor goes in and gets the goal. And again, Michael Stewart and the commentary team, they were just saying this is going to be a goal. This is 1-0, and for whatever reason, we then get served up with a line that tells us it wasn't. Strange one, but anyway.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Maybe selective memory. I'm not entirely sure, but aye, that's a weird one. That is a weird one. Abadi gets on the score sheet. No surprise there. We spoke about him already. I know Abadi on the assist sheet. He scored a goal that was disallowed, didn't he? Kyogo was glad though of the offside flag, wasn't he? Because he missed one, Terry, that was gilt-edged. I didn't understand. Again, Michael Stewart was annoying me today. I respect some of his views. He's not the worst out there. But he was trying to put it on. Palmer zipped the ball in too quickly for Kyogo from there. I don't subscribe to that argument at all. I think Kyogo's just not got the angle of his right boot properly. I think the pace on it makes the finish a wee bit easier, if anything, if he reacts quicker. To me, that was a golden opportunity. Luckily, it was flagged offside. We can move on from it. But then, of course, he does what he normally does, and he gets his goal. Would you make his shorter hair? He turned 29 yesterday, and today's the first time I thought, Kyogo looks 29 today. He doesn't look, as young as he normally does. Brilliant that he's back in the goal trail, though.
Yeah, maybe it was getting in his eyes or something. Probably just worth noting as well, Bhoycie, just before that third goal, Joe Hart had to make a save on a one-on-one where they did get through, and that's, you know, we're not going to nitpick, but that was probably the only moment of concern where they managed to get through one-on-one, and I suppose it would have been interesting if they got the goal, but the guy, he's got it on target. Hart's made the save. Kyogo, I think it doesn't matter who we're playing. I think just important that he got another goal, and probably we need to. We'll move on to it at some point. I'm sure the striker conversation. Just, well, if Kyogo had got called up, would we have purchased somebody by now, or are we just gonna go with Kyogo? Hope he doesn't get hurt until O comes back, or do we now have an option where we can say Rokavata is our new striker option, and we still don't need to go and buy another one in this window?
I mean, I don't understand it.
The manager's comments, I heard you guys talking on the Blether this morning, which was excellent as always, just around where he didn't Rodgers, he said it's difficult because if you're going to bring someone in and they know that Kyogo is that main striker, essentially, how do you sell that to someone to come in? And we've talked.
Why would you sell it as that? Why would you sell it as that? I would say there's a challenge here. There's a challenge here for you, and it's up to you to take that jersey. The guy scored 3 goals in his last 12 games and is far and away our best striker. I think you could do better. Any striker worth their salt that's looking for a challenge would be saying, fucking right, I could. No problem. I'll take his jersey off him and get the chance to play Champions League, get the chance to lift trophies. And now the guys that we're looking at, remember, aren't going to be leaving clubs that are winning trophies already in the Champions League. So it would be something fresh and something for the targets that we'll have in mind. But
we expected Kyogo to be called up, right? So what was the plan for that eventuality?
They don't have one, Terry.
There you go.
I think that's the reality. I mean, to me, the positives about today outweigh my overriding January blues with this board, right? Or January greens, if you want. But let's be real here. There's no plan whatsoever there was to get a striker in for the potential outcome that Kyogo's called up for the Asian Cup. There was no strategy in place. There's no forward planning. They are winging it at times. They don't want to go. They would have the argument that you just gave to Brendan. How can we justify paying 20 grand a week to a striker who's second fiddle to Kyogo? Who says he's second fiddle would be a manager's answer. If we get the right guy in, you'll be challenging him for the jersey. Oh, wait, no, I don't know about that. What sort of players do you think we'll be looking at? That's then when you realise the level of ambition the board will have, because there's not going to be a player that would be on their ideal list that would have the ability of Kyogo. It would be someone below that. Therefore, they would be wanting that to be a minimal fee, minimum wage, and it just gets silly. Realistically, though, in that area of the park, we're needing someone of a Giakoumakis level to come in with different attributes to Kyogo as well, which I think O has. He has different attributes, but unfortunately, overall, he's just a poorer player. He is definitely a couple of tiers below Kyogo in terms of levels of ability at this moment in time. I think we need someone who could come in with different skill set, different tools, but of a level that is worthy of challenging Kyogo for that jersey and making a real fist of it. See, if a manager can't deal with that headache, then more fool them. And I felt that was a really, really bad move by Ange, not to dwell on it anymore because we've been through it a million times. But you can see now why it was such a stupid move, particularly when you look at the fees involved that we sold Giakoumakis for. It was just pathetic. But we need someone of that ilk to come in again. I think someone who is, a foot taller than Kyogo, for example, say, far more physical, but also with that similar sort of eye to goal. Sounds like a dream signing, I suppose. There are few and far between guys that can get goals. I get that. But that's your challenge as a board. And you've got 70 million reasons to be able to go out there and get someone to come in and challenge Kyogo for that jersey, provide the competition, and also provide us with that depth and that peace of mind that if the shoulder that's on a string, I think Loopy was describing it as in the chat earlier on the Sunday Blether, that shoulder was to get injured again, or he picks up any other sort of knock, we're not relying on a guy who, for the last 12 months since joining Celtic, if we're all being honest, hasn't quite cut it, who's also away right now anyway. I think we definitely need to bring a forward in and provide competition for that. And as I say, peace of mind and a wee bit of a wee bit of depth in that position of a similar quality to what we already have on the pitch.
We'll go back to the game, Bhoycie, but just when we're on the transfer thread, have you seen from some of the comments that the lad came on for Liverpool? So that rumour was starting to pick up momentum over the last couple of days around Owen Beck, but what I'm understanding from the comments that I've seen there is because he's now come on and played for Liverpool, he can't play for another team because he's played for Liverpool and Dundee.
And then I seen a comment that came in on Twitter that fucking confused me a bit.
Does that apply if you sign him outright?
That's exactly the comment I seen, Terry. There was a comment that said, but if we sign him outright, that'd be okay still.
Yeah, that might be the difference.
And the latest rumour, the Daily Record changed their story from within about half an hour that it went from loan to this one's gathering pace. It's permanent Celtic are looking to do. That would suggest they knew he was probably going to feature today. So Liverpool have went, he's going to feature. He's going to feature at the weekend. So if we're even going to enter talks and you want him now, then you'll have to make a bid for him because quite simply you can't sign him on loan.
Yeah, and I also read comments attributed to the manager where he said he's essentially looking for someone to come in almost as backup to Greg Taylor because he really, really rates Greg Taylor. And he's not really looking to replace Greg Taylor. He's looking to bring in someone to challenge him and provide support, but not necessarily to replace him. And then I suppose that brings you into the conversation where people are wanting Brendan to make his decisions and stuff. But if Brendan actually does really, really rate Greg Taylor and sees him as our first choice left back, then what the supporters think about Greg Taylor doesn't really matter. If you want the manager to have the courage of his convictions and do things as he sees them, then you've got to back him if he thinks that Greg Taylor is the best possible left back we can get at Celtic.
Well, yeah. I mean, these are conversations that I'm sure Brendan will have had already, and I'm sure Ange had them as well. That's a position to strengthen. Left back and striker seems to be what most supporters now are saying is their shopping list, if you like, for January. But I'm seeing a growing amount of fans now beginning to come around to the idea, myself included, by the way, that the next two arrivals will get, unless this Owen Beck one has a bit of substance to it. But if not, then I think everyone's resigned themselves. It's going to be a couple of loans, Terry. I think you're giving me that almost wry smile there, like, yeah, I'm thinking that now too. Is that really a great message going into the second half of the season? That's firstly all we think that we need, and secondly, does it respect the manager's wishes for quality if they're only going to get them in for 5 months? Who's the snitch comes in? Oh, geez, I've said the Daily Record. Do you mean the Daily Ranger, Bhoycie? I'm not. It's called the Daily Record, mate, but if you want to call it the Daily Ranger, sorry. Who read that shite? Just on Twitter, mate. It was just a Twitter post. I see quite a lot on Twitter. I didn't go out and spend £1.20 on it, mate, so calm down. Folk get so wound up by stuff like that. But these rumours about Owen Beck, I would rather we went out and signed a permanent left back. And if it's to be Owen Beck, I think that's someone that would have been identified by Brendan, not the board. Very rare we look within the SPFL, first and foremost, which is where he's impressed for talent. Secondly, I don't think Celtic, who were firstly targeting Araujo, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. He's at Estoril right now, but he's on loan from Benfica, who we've obviously now building a relationship with. Benfica will be the new Asian top flight, one of the Asian leagues, you know what I mean? Or what Man City used to be for us. And I think we'd rather be negotiating with them to try and get a player in from their reserves rather than going to the English, the EPL's top four club from there, top two in Liverpool, and trying to negotiate with them. So that would suggest to me, that it's more of a Brendan production.
Be interested to see how that one plays out then. I think there will be a left back come in January, whether it's a loan, a permanent, short term, whatever. I think there will. What I don't see is, I don't see that obvious quality. Now the lad Beck, if he may go on to become a good player, Kuhn may be a good player, but when the manager's talking about quality, I suppose what me as a supporter, what I'm expecting is that whoever we see coming in will know that they're going to replace people who are in that first 11. And I can't say that without, I mean, I've seen Celtic play Dundee once this season, and I honestly can't remember the lad standing out in any way that I can make any sort of comment on him. I've never seen Kuhn play, so I can't make any comment on him. But the names that are being mentioned, they don't strike me as obvious quality upgrades on what we've got. And again, the comments from the manager, again, sort of quality doesn't always have to cost you 6, 7, 8 million. But I think in our experience with some of the players, I know we got O'Reilly and Hitati for low fees, but by and large, our most successful transfer activity has been in that sort of 6 million, 7 million loan to buy sort of range, with Jota, who went for astronomical fee. Edouard was initially a loan with a 9 million fee, which we then doubled our money on. Carter Vickers was a loan with 6 million, which probably someday we'll triple our money on. Why are we not going down that avenue? That's worked for us. Those guys were quality. You knew Carter Vickers was coming in to be the number one centre back at Celtic. You knew from his pedigree. You might not have seen him play very often, but you knew that he was going to come in and be the number one choice.
And not in a bad way, Terry, but you knew by his price tag as well. People are very alien to accepting that. But the price tag will play a part in your thinking, because you go, well, if he's cost £6 million, he's going to be, as you say, you've got it, your mind's set that that's going to be someone who goes straight in at the first team and becomes, as Brendan says, a pillar of the first team. You're spot on with that, mate. That not just his CV, but I think the price tag factors into it as well. And because of the lack of success or the lack of strike rates we've had for £2 to £3 million players, I think that takes you to a place where even if Nicola Kuhn is the dog's bollocks, mate, he comes with scepticism from a lot of the fans. Even if Owen Beck is miles clear as the number one left back for Taylor, he comes in when he arrives, it's treated with scepticism because the amount of players that have came in that region of fee that have not made any sort of impact on the first team. It's just, that's on the board as well. That's like a ripple effect of your mismanagement in the transfer windows. But yeah, you're right. When we go out and we spend that wee bit more, the success rate does seem to be far higher. But you make less profit on these guys because they factor in the fact, it cost £6 million, his wages were higher. Who cares? They shouldn't be looking to get guys in for £2 million.
With a title to win here, Bhoycie.
Well, fuck, I
heard you guys this morning. I mean, I totally agree with Phil. I look at this as 2 points. We're going into the latter part of the season with a 2-point lead. This is on a knife edge. Now, Rangers have got a tough game on paper away to Hibs during the week, and nothing would please me more if they drop points. But I'm looking at this as 2 points and on a knife edge. And the next game against them is at Ibrox, and conceivably that could go their way. And I just think we need to be making a statement in this window. We need to be making the signings, not thinking about future profit and all this kind of thing. We need to be bringing in players, first of all, to get this title over the line. That's the most important thing. Not even thinking ahead to next season, this title needs to be won, and we need to bring in boys that are going to get that job done. And to me, the business we've done so far, another 3 million winger, yeah, he might turn out to be brilliant, but to me, that's we haven't made a statement. We've 10 days to make a statement that we mean business in this window and that we want to get the job done that gets us over the line.
Talk to me about Rocco Vata getting a goal, getting an appearance first and foremost.
The appearance is probably the first one.
Then, so this is all in the back of the story being Celtic are now considering or have open talks about giving him a new deal, despite the fact that it seems like it's been about 2 years Rocco Vata has been linked with the exit door very, very strongly in the last month or so. We all predicted he would feature today. He did. He gets a goal, and you think, right, the love-in's there right now. They're trying to now retain this guy. I have to be honest, though, then, I don't know if you've heard Brendan after the game talking about him. And
no, I didn't hear the aftermatch.
Far from convinced that Rocco Vata is ready. I think he said you can clearly tell he's really raw. He needs a lot of work. That was his exact words. He needs a lot of work. But he's got some attributes that we like. He may have a chance to be a Celtic player. There's a lot in that I take from that. And by the way, this isn't just Brendan. Ange didn't at any point, I think, feature Rocco Vata in his first team. So the argument is that whilst Vata clearly is a player that has ability because there's other clubs looking at him, when it's came to the crunch, and Celtic's a results-driven business more than most clubs, because if we draw, it's an absolute disaster. Do you know what I mean? So they've not wanted to take a punt on him or give him that game time very often. But the way this is all going looks to be that Celtic, maybe not the manager, but Celtic have decided that compensation fee or whatever, a tribunal fee, whatever it is you get from, is going to be that minimal. It might be better to get him on another deal and then try and integrate him, give him more sporadic appearances, and hope the stories between scouts still carry on, that he's got something about him, and maybe get something that looks close to a fee for him. Because I don't think, going by the manager's very brief, but I thought quite eyebrow-raising quotes on him after the game, that he's actually going to get much more of a chance this season at Celtic. I think it was Buckie Thistle, you were a sub. I really don't think, for what Brendan said, that's going to be a guy we can get used to now seeing featuring between now and the end of the season. I could be wrong. George Robertson, he listened to it. He's in the chat. He heard what Brendan says too and thinks that sort of summation is spot on. He can hear it the same.
Bhoycie, do you think this is far-fetched? I think that the guys upstairs are interfering in first team matters, and this isn't just this lad appearing today after in the January window after him being linked with moves to Serie A. It's the same as Ben Doak being fired onto the bench and making an appearance against Rangers from absolutely nowhere. I don't believe Ange Postecoglou picked Ben Doak for that game. I think Ange Postecoglou was told,
I've said that.
Ben Doak has to be in the squad, and if you can get him on, get him on. And I think it's the same thing again. I think this is the football staff probably don't see enough in this lad. I mean, he's 18, so he's still got time. But let's not. This guy isn't a Wayne Rooney or a Michael Owen. Do you know what I mean? He's not. He's.
Did you see him go clean through on goal? When he went 1-on-1, he didn't look convincing, did he?
Yeah, he's not the next big thing, but he's probably the best of the current crop or close to that. But I think the football side of things...
Will it be like a new signing, Terry? Hashtag like a new signing?
Possibly. But I think what's happened here is when Celtic have seen that the interest is coming from the Italian league, and that league has had an interest in players playing in Scotland recently, and a lot of those players, after moving to the Italian league, have then moved on for considerably more sums. I think somebody has then joined the dots and said, well, actually, we're going to lose him for about 250 grand, 300. Let's see, as you say, let's see if we can persuade him to stay. And then if the Italian interest still there, then we can get 2, 3, 4 million for him. Brendan, he's in the squad today. If as expected, it's going our way, you've got to put him on. And if that's happening, that's very, very concerning. But my hunch is that that's what happened. Certainly.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm convinced Ange was told, you've got to put him in the squad today.
Yeah, and he's got to get some minutes.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to convince him to sign a new deal. And that's what's happened with Rocco back today.
You don't go from nowhere to playing in a Celtic Rangers game, Bhoycie.
Oh, fuck, I know that with the Bordeaux Quad. I've said that for quite a while. Just on that, though, I mean, if that were to be the case, I mean, CJ says then the manager should be telling him to fuck off. I get that. But not only that, though. See, to be fair, if you flip it, that would be a natural progression for a board that interfere in everything else for it to then become certain individuals in match day squads. It's not really that surprising when you look at them, maybe when it was Strachan. I know there was the Roy Keane quote that I was talking about the other week where he said, Strachan told me to my face, I don't make the signings anymore. I was rubbish at it. Too many bad buys. So Celtic started, were adding their own. I think maybe Strachan had bits involved for some of them. And then you knew Celtic were signing players like Tommy Gravison and stuff. And then that turned into this window we've just seen in the summer, where it was wholesale that all 9 players were signed by that board, and the manager didn't get the quality that he was looking for. The natural progression is match day squads. It doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
I'm smiling because I'm recalling Paddy McCourt said when he turned up for his first day of training, Strachan just said, "Who the fuck are you?" He hadn't a clue. He hadn't a clue who he was or anything at all.
Was it not Paul Slane signed on the same day as Robbie Keane? Chance you got.
So I suppose what we need to do is we need to give that a credit. He was in the right place for the finish. Good work by Mikey Johnson. Skinned the player, laid it on a plate for him. Probably, Bhoycie, before we forget about what actually happened during the game, the Palma goal was excellent, and we haven't looked at that one. And Palma is someone who I think he's going to excite us and he's going to frustrate us in equal measures. And he's going to do all of those things in the same game. I thought he was very frustrating at times today, but then one moment of quality. And I think that's just what this guy's going to be. He's just going to be a mixed bag, and you've just got to enjoy the good bits. And excellent finish. Cut in from the right-hand side. He's been deployed mostly on the left. Cut in from the right, beat his man, and a cracking finish. And I just think that's what we're going to see from him. We're going to see he cuts in, he lets fly. Some of them are going to go in the net. Some of them are going to go in rosette. And that's just what we're going to get with this lad.
George is back and he said Palmer would not pass the salt at the dinner table. I mean, I don't mind that. I think he plays with a purpose. I think he's got an identity and what it is that he's bringing to the party. I think you know what he's bringing to the party, and I don't mind that. In terms of inconsistencies, these are conversations people having about Jota when it's which one should we keep, Jota or CCV? Well, I was firmly in the camp of both. Some people at that point, man, randomly the conversation somehow between Celtic fans turned into we're only keeping one out of the two. I don't know why. You have to make your mind up. Which one do you want to keep? And to strengthen the argument for CCV, and what people are pointing to inconsistencies in Jota's game, for example, we fast forward 12 months and we all know what happened with him. I think wingers in general can be a wee bit of a Forrest Gump box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I think there's a bit of that. With
especially in that 2 to 4 million range, Bhoycie. The reason we're getting these guys is because they've got flaws. They're all going to have flaws, and we've just got to accept that. We've got to hope that the good outweighs the bad. And with Palma, I think it probably has so far. To be honest, I think some of the goals have been a joy to watch. Yeah, there's going to be times he's going to have you pulling your hair out, but. If he was the finished article, he wouldn't be with us.
No, definitely not. And I think he's a player that will kick on again next year as well. Not obviously we need him to kick on the second half of this season because there is still, as you rightfully point out, two trophies that are very much in the balance. You know, I think we are favourites for both the league and the Scottish Cup, but nothing's a certainty right now, and we want to make sure we're as strong as possible when players are finding the right form. Hence why I think so many were included today. Terry, we're going to wrap it up. There's over 200 live. My Wi-Fi is just flickering a wee bit. I think I don't know if it's to do with the storm or not, but it's just giving me the fear that we're going to get cut off anyway. So we will call it there. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. Make sure you give a wee like, give a wee share. Yes, and we'll be back for the Monday Club tomorrow. Terry, thanks for joining us on the old bus for the
No
P.M.P.
problem. Good to be back.
Good to have you back, mate. Brilliant. And yes, we will see you tomorrow. Cheers for that. See you.
See you, everyone.